Hi, special message just to show you how to build a monster MLM team. And these are the 5 different rules you need to make that into that massive level to get momentum. Now, there's an old saying, well, it's probably been going for years and years. The speed of the leader is the speed of the team. So you've got to drive your own team. So even if you're starting from day one, you've got to be the leader to drive your own business and get momentum. I'm going to explain a little bit about that in a second. So if you're new, what you need to do is get a fantastic story, keep that story actually going, and also then start sponsoring people. And not just do it for a couple of weeks, keep going with the momentum to drive your business forward, because people in your team are watching what you do. It's no good telling them what to do if you're not doing it yourself. I remember when I first started, to be quite honest, I wasn't going to do any retail. I thought I'm just going to build a team, and luckily enough, one of the people I'd sponsored said to me, when I suggested he should be doing 200 catalogs twice a week, he said to me, "How many you do?" And I says, "Well," and he knew I wasn't, so at that point I did. And for the next 8 years did a week in, week out, so I was leading from the front as well as doing the sponsoring side. You've got to get a balance, so you've got to get the momentum. Now once you've got momentum, you might have seen people get in a hot tub before, where there's 2 or 3 people that go around in a circle chasing each other, and it basically becomes a whirlpool, and if they stop, they will carry on with the momentum of the water. Now that's what you've got to get into your business, because if you try going against the momentum, it makes it very, very difficult. So the more momentum you can get in your business, the better. So starting off, you need to get that big retail story, keep it going, and also a big sponsoring story, and keep that going as well, and then make sure all the other little segments here are working as well. Now this is more of leadership stuff once it gets bigger, but you've got to know and understand this as it happens. The law of diminishing return. Now what this means is most people should have read the basics book, or the 45-second presentation book by Don Failer. In there they talk about sizzle sessions, and that's the energy when you get people together. If you've got one person by themselves, there's no energy. 2, there's a little bit of energy. 3, there's more energy. And eventually you get more people together, it creates such a positive energy that you get, in the case in the book, it creates a fire, and you can have a massive fire with the energy. Now that added to the momentum will drive the business forward. So it gets to a stage where the meetings are getting big, there's fantastic buzz at this meeting, but you decide that you're going to break away to another area, maybe 20 miles away, and start another meeting. So what happens is the original meeting loses its energy, and the new meeting's flat because you haven't got the same people driving it. It can't be in the same place at the same time, unless you've got the same person going around doing it in a different area. But if you've split it, you will lose that energy. That's a law of diminishing return. The next law you've got to watch out is Gresham's law. This law is to promote the producers, not the be political. Now obviously when you start building your business with people, you're going to have some people that are your friends and some people that you're not, and there's some people that are producing it and there's some people that's not. What can tend to happen, you have people speaking at the front who, because their friends are maybe good at it, and they get to the front. What you should be using is the people who are currently doing it and getting recognized for them, because if you miss them out, they're not going to be happy and they're not going to follow the system. They'll break away. So you've got to use them leaders who are actually walking the walk and doing it, because that's the people who want to chase, the people that's driving the business forward. You should hang on to their shirt tails. The ones that's the top retailers, you should listen to their tip, and the top sponsors, you should be following their tips to a T. Now the next one is Bastiat's law. Now what this one means is people do this just a limited amount to make things work. So say for example you've got to do 650 points to hit your first bonus level in a 4-week period. We'll use that as an example. And basically what do people do? They do 651 points. They do just the minimum to get through. So whatever level it is, there's minimums. People will do the minimum amount to actually do it. And that's not the right attitude. A leader should be driving it forward. I remember years ago Andy Stevenson used to say, just before he goes to bed, you just do one more thing that can actually impact his business. So that's what you should be doing as a leader. You should be using them tips. You should be driving the business forward and showing you're leading from that front, doing that extra little bit to actually make it work. And the last one is Sturgeon's law, the 10%ers. Any business is going to have 10%ers who are really working hard and producing the business. They're going to be your top retailers, your top sponsors, and you should have league tables to show who your 10%ers are. Now what human nature is, you tend to work with the people who need it, not the people who deserve it. But then people that deserve it are like a little baby bird sitting in its nest. It's always going to have its mouth wide open, and if you keep feeding them for doing nothing, then guess what? There's not going to be any growth. They've got to learn to fish for themselves, and people should be striving to be in the top 10%, because the 10% is where it's at. That's where the big money's going to be. So if you're not in the 10%, you should get into the 10%. And at this time of year, when I'm shooting this video, obviously it's going to go on for years, but we're just coming up to our Christmas period, which is a fantastic time to get a retail story and a sponsoring story, because there's always people looking to make extra money on the run up to Christmas. But what you should cross every day is a New Year's Day and start your business moving forward. So if you haven't got momentum in your team, you need to do that. You need to be following your leader who's got momentum and driving the business forward together as a team. Because as a team's got momentum, it goes absolutely crazy and you just cannot stop it. It doesn't matter what will get in the road, it will not be stopped. So study these different tips. It's a massive way to help build your business. Share it with your team as much as possible, because the more people understand this, then the faster everybody's businesses grow and our industry will just get a better name. But you've just got to learn off people who are doing it, not the people who have wrote maybe books about it, or nowadays lots of YouTube videos out there how to do this and how to do that. Just follow the people who are driving it in your particular business. They're the ones you want to listen to, not people who've done it 20 odd years ago as well. You want to be talking to people who's currently driving the business forward. They prove they can retail and sponsor. They're right up to speed with everything that's going on, and got the fantastic support system to plug in with your email trainings and your voicemail trainings and your webinar trainings and your conference call trainings, and feed you into audio training CDs that you can listen to in the car, the correct books to read. And the more of this you get into your team, the more momentum you're going to get. So make sure you share this with all your team so everybody's watched it, so they understand the power of getting MLM momentum in your team.